on the city's public webcasts and meetings materials webpage. Tonight's meeting will include a public comment period, and if you wish to speak and have not already done so, please fill out a request to speak form on our public webcasts and meeting materials webpage or at the entrance to this room. We will accept the request to speak forms until 7:35, and these forms will be used to generate the random order of speakers and correctly enter speakers' names into the public record. The public comment period will be limited to 90 minutes or conclude at 10 p.m., whichever occurs first. If the number of speakers exceeds the time that we have allotted, we encourage speakers to consider abbreviating their remarks so that the maximum number of speakers can be heard. And for those joining the meeting remotely for the public comment period, you are welcome to email your comments to City Council, and that is true of anyone giving public comment this evening. As a reminder, Council's meeting rules of conduct apply to all attendees, both in the chambers and in the lobby outside of this room. And this includes no flags, signs, loud or disruptive language, noise or conduct that obstructs the business of the council. Please keep the room quiet and respectful of all speakers, and you are welcome to wave your hands in silent support. Additionally, we encourage all those who are ill or who have had close contact with others who are ill to join our meetings remotely rather than in person, and we have masks available in the lobby if you need one. In case of a medical emergency, an automated external defibrillator, an AED, is located on the counter behind staff at the west side of the room, and emergency exits are through the double doors located at the back of the room and the double doors near the front of the room. The doors to the patio can also be used as needed. And with that, I call the May 12th, 2025 meeting of the Eugene City Council to order. We begin with a land acknowledgement. Since time immemorial, the Kalapuya people have been the indigenous stewards to our region, building dynamic communities, maintaining balance with wildlife, and enacting sustainable land practices. This land acknowledgement is a way of resisting the erasure of indigenous histories and to honor Native communities by inviting truth and reconciliation. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalapuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and forcibly removed to the Coast Reservation in Western Oregon. As we consider the impacts of colonization, we also acknowledge the strength and resiliency of displaced indigenous people. The city of Eugene is built within the traditional homelands known as Kalapuya Alihi. Kalapuya descendants are citizens of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians of Oregon. They continue to make contributions in our communities here and across the lands. We express our respect for the inherent political sovereignty of all federally recognized tribal nations and indigenous people who live in the state of Oregon and across the nation. Our first item on tonight's agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and in honor of Memorial Day this month, we will open tonight's meeting with the pledge. And to lead us in this, we are joined by Rebecca Knecht, the facility manager for the Public Works Maintenance, Parks and Open Spaces Roosevelt Yard, and a veteran of the U.S. Navy's nuclear program. She completed 2 deployments aboard the USS George Washington, earning the Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, and 2 Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medals. Rebecca was also aboard the USS George Washington when it deployed to protect New York City on September 11th and supported Operation Noble Eagle. Rebecca Knecht will now lead us in the pledge. Please stand if you are able.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rebecca. And that concludes our first agenda item this evening. Our second agenda item tonight are ceremonial matters. I have asked the city to prepare a series of proclamations for the month of May. 3 of them occurred related to the first of this month, May 1st, the beginning of celebrating Bike Month within the city of Eugene, also the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Month, and also the day in which we celebrate International Workers' Day within the city of Eugene. Today, May 12th, 2025, is also Sabrina Ionescu Day. Currently, the New York Liberty are playing a game at the Matthew Knight Arena, and about 12,000 people within our community are very excited for that opportunity to celebrate a U of O alum, as well as her teammate, Nyara Sabali, and their return to Eugene. From May 18th to 24th, we will celebrate Public Works Week within the city of Eugene, and on May 26th, we will honor the Memories and Memorial Day. These proclamations will be available on the City of Eugene website, and I will work with community groups and organizations to share them throughout the community. Thank you to staff for their help and support in sharing this work and these important ceremonial matters. And that concludes our second agenda item. Our third item on tonight's agenda are committee reports and items of interest. I will now open the floor for committee reports and items of interest from councilors. Councilors, please, as a reminder, press the button on the bottom of your microphone to unmute and to remute yourself after you have spoken. Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to give an Intergovernmental Relations Committee report. I'm the chair of that committee now. The IGR committee met on Wednesday, May 5th, reviewed the IGR weekly bill priority report, and received an overview of the proposed trip transportation policy, revenue, and investment package being deliberated at the state legislature currently. No action was taken. Eugene's 2025 priorities continued to advance through the legislative process, including the threats to public officials bill and the ability for local governments to prohibit firearms in public buildings, and investments in the shelter system and Eugene's Clear Lake Road Economic Development Project. Finally, the IGR committee is scheduled to meet on Wednesday, June 4th to review the bill report update and also hone in on final actions prior to the end of the session in late June. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Ye.
Thank you. I wanted to very quickly thank Commissioner Peter Ruffier from the Metropolitan Wastewater Management Committee. Peter's going to be stepping down this month, but he has a long history with the city of Eugene. For almost 18 years, he was actually our wastewater division director from 92 to 2010, after which he moved to a wastewater utility up in the Hillsborough, Beaverton area for 3 years as their regulatory affairs director. And we were very fortunate for him to join the MWMC in 2016, where he has been invaluable for our commission with his wealth of knowledge of this industry. And he is going to be taking a well-deserved retirement from public service. And I just want to make sure he knows how much he is appreciated.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. Speaking of appreciation, I wanted to express my deep appreciation to the Eugene Police Department. I want to thank our law enforcement professionals for their outstanding professionalism and their prompt and attentive action regarding a suspected prowler. So hats off and kudos and thanks to EPD. I also want to invite community members. Tomorrow night, the Southeast Neighbors are hosting a get to know your current and former elected official, not quite town hall, just a conversation, open conversation at the Hilliard Community Center at Amazon Park tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'll be joined by Lane County Commissioner Lori Trieger and former State Representative Charlie Conrad, free and open to all if you'd like to join us tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. On May 1st, I attended a Santa Clara Community Organization meeting where we heard, among other things, a wonderful presentation from the folks at the YMCA who plan to expand and build a new Y if they are successful in their plans to do so at what was previously the Santa Clara Community School there on River Road. And it looks like a beautiful facility that they'll build to be in support of what they do in South Eugene, and should be able to, if I get my numbers right, should be able to serve an average of 6,500 members at that location. So something for those in North Eugene to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, Council, and that concludes our third agenda item this evening. Our fourth item on tonight's agenda is Consent Calendar 1, which includes approval of city council minutes, approval of city council tentative agenda, the ratification fiscal year 2025-26 Metropolitan Wastewater Management Commission Regional Wastewater Program Budget and Capital Improvements Program, and the approval of Municipal Court Judge Evaluation Committee nominees and process. Any questions from council? Not seeing any. I will request and turn to the council president to put a motion forward.
I move to approve the items on consent calendar 1.
Second.
Thank you. Any additional discussion from council? Seeing none, we'll now take a vote for this motion. Councilors, please lock in your votes on the tablets in front of you.
Mayor, apparently I'm unable to do so. I'm an affirmative.
Thank you very much. We have 7 councilors present and 7 votes in the affirmative, and the motion passes with a vote of 7-0. Thank you, and that concludes this agenda item. Our 5th item on tonight's agenda is consent calendar 2, which is a page long in its descriptions. It includes the approval of a resolution annexing land to the city of Eugene, Assessors Map 1704-1332, tax lot 05000, and located at 1708 River Road. Approval of a resolution annexing land to city of Eugene, Assessors Map 1704-1112, tax lot 00200, and located at 3335 River Road. Approval of a resolution annexing land to the city of Eugene on Assessors Map 1704-1112, tax lot 03902, and a portion of tax lot 03900, and located on Blazer Avenue west of River Road. And approval of a resolution annexing areas of right-of-way identified as LaPorte Drive, Crow Road between West 11th Avenue and the urban growth boundary, West 11th Avenue between Terry Street and the urban growth boundary, and Green Hill Road between West 11th Avenue and the urban growth boundary, and voluntarily annexing adjacent privately owned parcels to the city of Eugene, Assessors Map number 1704-3114, tax lots 00100 and 01200, and Assessors Map number 1704-3200, tax lots 01300, 01600, 01700, 02100, 02200, 02400, 02500, 02600, 02700, 02900, 0300, 03100, 03500, 03800, 03900, and 05000, as well as approval of a resolution annexing Golden Gardens Park property, Assessors Map 1704-1600, and voluntarily annexing an adjacent privately owned parcel, Assessors Map 1704-0900. Any questions from council? Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I will just say, I will make as a recommendation, perhaps at the next process session, we can have a discussion about this. The reason for 2 consent calendars is so that annexations can be after the public forum. But we've moved our public forum to the end. So it no longer serves a purpose to have 2 consent calendars at all, other than, you know, the chance for people to weigh in if a parcel near them is being considered for annexation. So I would like to solve that at the next process session we have, so we don't have to waste time with 2. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none, I'll turn to the council president to put a motion forward.
I move to approve the items on consent calendar 2.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll now take a vote for this motion. Councilors, please lock in your votes. And that motion passes with a vote of 7-0. Thank you. And this concludes this agenda item. Now turn to the Assistant City Manager, Matt Rodriguez, to introduce our sixth agenda item this evening, action on adoption of City of Eugene Annex to the Lane County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan 2020.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Eugene Annex to the Lane County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan has been tentatively approved by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and is before you today for adoption. In this planning cycle, the City of Eugene, along with several other jurisdictions, has joined the Lane County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan, which increases collaboration with our local cooperators in disaster mitigation planning.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Seeing no questions from council, I'll turn to the council president to put a motion forward.
I move to adopt a resolution adopting the updated City of Eugene Annex to the Lane County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I will now take a vote for this motion. Councilors, please lock in your votes on the tablets in front of you. And that motion passes with a vote of 7-0. Thank you very much. That concludes that agenda item. And the last item on tonight's agenda is the public comment period. Public comment is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues except for those items which has already been heard by a hearings official. Staff, can you please share a list and the number of speakers who have signed up to speak by 7:35 and announce the first speakers?
Thank you, Mayor. We have 32 speakers signed up this evening. All right. I will announce 2 speakers' names at a time. When you are called to speak, please state your name and your ward or neighborhood if known before beginning your comments. If you are announced as the next speaker, please move to the seat in the front row designated for the next speaker. When it is your turn, you may come to the podium. Please leave any bags you may have with you at your seat. If you have documents to give council, please place them in the basket near the podium. You will have 2.5 minutes to speak. The timer will flash red when you have 15 seconds remaining to speak. Your microphone will be muted at the 2.5-minute mark. Please note that use of profanity is prohibited, and any instances of profanity will result in immediate termination of speaking privileges. Our first speakers tonight are Lynn Woodrich, followed by Juliera Baton.
My name's Lynn Woodrich. I'm the active Bethel Community Co-Chair. I've lived in the Bethel area over 30 years. I live in Ward 8. I'm speaking for the active Bethel Community Board. Highway 99 businesses would like to thank Mayor Knutson and Councilor Evans for meeting with us today about these issues. St. Vincent de Paul located the Lynn Home Service Center in the active Bethel community. They received funding from many sources, including the City of Eugene. Overcrowding at the Lynn Home Center has led to severe sanitation hazards and escalating dangers. A tenant on Highway 99 was assaulted at their place of business by a homeless individual, with police response taking 3 hours. This person has been identified and is still in our area and has not been arrested. The same day, a clerk at another location in Bethel was also assaulted. Business owners, employees, and residents are facing escalating dangers, and delayed emergency responses only exacerbate the problem. St. Vincent de Paul recently added the Shiles Resource Center, a multi-agency service center adjacent to Lynn Home on Highway 99. The center will house representatives from 7 different services. This is a wonderful addition, but not a wonderful location. We need a police substation in Bethel. We urge the city to act swiftly to allocate immediate resources to mitigate sanitation and safety issues along Highway 99, including dedicated cleanup crews, 24/7 enforcement, and trauma-informed outreach teams. St. Vincent de Paul, the city, and the county should be held responsible to our community for cleanup and safety. The strain on Bethel has become intolerable. Our community deserves solutions that uphold both the dignity of those experiencing homelessness and the rights of residents and businesses bearing the brunt of this crisis, including homeless-related violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Our next speakers are Juliera Baton, followed by Alfredo Gormazano.
Thank you for my time today. My name is Juliera Baton. I live down in South Hills. My community calls me Jules. Nothing expresses what is important to us as how we spend our money. And as we as a community discuss a budget, we are discussing our values. As the Eugene City Council looks to add another so much money to our already overfunded militarized police state, the council is making it clear that they value control, or perhaps more kindly, community safety. So let's talk about that. What makes our communities safe? Surely it's not just our boys in blue. Our firefighters are also vital to community safety. I signed up to get email notifications whenever there are no units available to respond to a call. It's terrifying because this happens every single day. Surely this expresses we need more emergency response teams, that this vital public service doesn't have the support it needs and is prepared to fail in the event of an actual disaster. More so, as we look to create a safe and supportive community, the most impactful is overlapping community and support networks. As an example, Cahoots, Whitebird, Green Hill Humane, and the fire departments would all support our police force and ease their burden by taking on cases that aren't necessarily criminal and don't need a police response. Cahoots and Whitebirds save lives of those in crisis. Green Hill keeps pets safe as our most vulnerable populations go through their hardest times. They also keep the community safe by housing dangerous animals until decisions are made and assisting in managing local cat populations. These are responsibilities that should never fall to the police. By defunding these support networks, the police are left to manage problems they are ill-equipped to tackle in ways that more money cannot fix. Defunding of the library is another choice that doesn't align with Eugene's values. We value education. We are a college town after all. We value learning and we value safe third spaces, spaces where we can coexist and create community. We have a beautiful library that's a pride and joy in our community that provides so many incredible, valuable resources beyond books. It often acts as one of very few safe spaces for our unhoused neighbors. Where can they turn to if these resources are taken away? If the police are all that's left to fill in the gaps, we're turning our neighbors, who are just cold, into criminals. The budget the City Council has proposed blatantly doesn't align with what the community values, needs, and supports. Taking away these resources will only cause suffering and not safety. Thank you for your time and consideration today.
Thank you, Juliera. Our next speakers are Alfredo Gormazano, followed by Allison Hunter.
Good evening. So I entitled my forum saying appropriate appropriations. And I've just heard a couple of speakers before me talking about things that are very, very needed in this city. And I know I spoke about this last time, but something that I feel is very unneeded in our city and is a huge, probably huger than we can think, a waste of money, is the curb extensions that are built. I'm part of a veritable army of delivery drivers at night and Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. And going through the university district where there's hordes of college students, sometimes they're drunk or otherwise altered, wandering around, we're really focused on trying to not hit these non-targets walking across the street. And while we're focused on them, bam, we hit this curb and it's a real shock. And not just is it a shock on our bodies, it's a shock on our cars. It wears out our tires. Those tires end up in landfills a lot sooner than they need to be. They become more of an expense. We need things like Cahoots. We need things like what the person from Bethel was speaking about and what the previous speaker was talking about. Please stop putting those obstacles out in the streets. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alfredo. Our next speakers are Allison Hunter, followed by Dan Bryant.
Good evening. My name is Allison Hunter. Thank you for your time and for your service to community. X marks the spot. We find ourselves juxtapositioned in the crossroads of healthcare, the justice system, fiscal responsibility, searching for the cares, and the S is a dollar sign. While standing on the Constitution and leaning on the Bill of Rights, we stumbled on the gateway to gatekeeping. Any able-bodied can tell you that is a closed loop, exclusive, in fact. As a means of survival, we have had to learn how to navigate the restricted and, it seems, exclusive access to health care. Barrier after barrier identified, and we are hunting the key players and their associates. These barriers are an undue burden on what can be a more cost-efficient and streamlined process. Having law enforcement to threaten and intimidate persons seeking safety, services, and cares, with another dollar sign, is in stark contrast to being a kind, inclusive community. Kicking persons like a can across the county does not compute. There is no way to make the aftermath add up. Too many toe tags, too many people further disabled by the process of just seeking cares. With the current budget concerns, it would seem the cares are very selective. Please audit the homeless services budget and the special operations budgets. The Boater home has sprung a leak, and it sure does smell fishy. We can do better, and that is one of the truth bombs you can take to the bank. Thank you. I appreciate you looking into those matters thoroughly.
Thank you, Allison. Our next speakers are Dan Bryant, followed by Rich Locke.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I am Dan Bryant. I've lived in this community since 1991. I live in Ward 5. I'm here to address the fire service fee or an appropriate alternative. I served on the Revenue Task Force appointed by the city manager, and I encourage the council to review that work so you don't waste time pursuing ideas we already examined, ideas brought up in the public discussion but which we discarded for good reasons. From our work, it is apparent that the proposed fee was the best solution to the structural problem that I'll illustrate with just one example. eWeb raised their rates for power by 7.7% and water by 6.6%, whereas the revenue from property taxes can only be raised 3%. Any solution you come up with which does not address this fundamental structural problem will fail and only kick the problem down the road. When we explain this problem to voters, they readily agree to pledge their support for the proposed fee. Eugene Save Our Services, the political action committee I chair, has collected nearly 3,500 signatures and growing. Our numbers are growing weekly. We have no objection to a sunset clause of appropriate length to provide us with sufficient financial stability for the near future so that we can plan accordingly. In our opinion, should be no less than 6 years. 8 would be better. Many have suggested a different name. Again, no objection, so long as the majority of the cuts are restored. I'd like to speak to just one area of those cuts, homeless services. I heard concerns that some people think we're spending too much on the unhoused, that it's taking away resources from other services. Talk about blaming the victim. Do we blame the mentally ill for their illness? Do we blame that person living off of $800 in disability payments for their disability? As the mayor and many of you, I think, know from the good work we have done in this community with support from the Chamber of Commerce, the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 cause of homelessness are the costs of housing and low vacancy rates. The money the city puts towards aiding the unhoused is money we spend to care for our own. Take away those funds, and we take away our most basic commitment as human beings to care for one another. So I urge the council on behalf of the 35 members of Eugene SOS to take action necessary to adopt the appropriate fee to restore the budget cuts and save our services that make Eugene the community that we love. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Our next speakers are Rich Locke, followed by Jojo Breslin.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name's Rich Locke. I am a business owner in Ward 7 now, which brings me to my first point here of homelessness and garbage. It's always garbage everywhere. I'd like to just point out the city of Eugene's image. We gotta do something about, there's nothing that says welcome to Eugene more than driving down Highway 99 to get to Eugene and then coming across Chambers and 7th Avenue with panhandlers on every corner building their tarp homes right on the corner and leaving lots of garbage. And then I would point out 99 in Roosevelt also. I'm, again, personally tired of the garbage, the feces, and the needles. I've got about 200 businesses that I associate with on a regular basis that feel the same way. And we'd like to see control. So then I'd like to bring up the fire fee. I perused the budget, that ream of paper plus, and there is so many redundancies between the county and the city. We are backing up all of the things, many of the things that the county is doing. So I'd like to encourage council to, and our budget committee, to go through and really focus in on the things that can be deleted or taken out of the city's budget and rely on the county's budget. If you look at the homeless or the homeless services, you look at the housing, you look at the health provisions, they're all redundant. Make them do what they need to do and us take care of our citizens. And you know, you have a lot of people here that are worried about the services they are. That's why they're showing up. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people commenting on Green Hill this evening, which I'm a pet owner. I love my pets. So do they.
Thank you, Rich. Our next speakers are Jojo Breslin, followed by Charlotte Abernathy.
City Councilors, Mayor, thank you. I am coming here just as we get close to adopting a budget as a city, and just want to stress the importance of us investing in our future. I'm very worried, like a lot of my other community members here today, about the uninvesting from our services like the library, Amazon Pool, Green Hill, taking away, and I should also say the library, by taking away our third spaces, which is critical for young people, students, children, and kind of helping as we move forward with what they need. I would also not fail to mention the importance of Cahoots. They're critical services that they provide for some of the most vulnerable in our community. And as we get close to getting to a budget, I just want to kind of stress and encourage the funding of these very important services, be it from the fire fee, be it an alternative fee, be it management of the budget itself. And that's what I wanted to come here and say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. Our next speakers are Charlotte Abernathy, followed by Athena Aguiar. All right, is there a Charlotte Abernathy in the room? All right, I will call the next speaker and then, oh, we got him.
Sitting in overflow is a popular spot to be this evening. I'm Charlotte Abernathy. I live in Springfield, work in Eugene, and I'm here to address the city's criminalization of homelessness. First, it is morally unthinkable that we have unhoused people at all. Nationwide, there are far more empty houses than there are unhoused people. The housing crisis in Eugene is not physical, it is financial. We have a homeless problem only because there are people who value money over their human siblings' lives. This is very hard for me to understand and impossible to accept. Rather than providing housing and support, Eugene, like so many other cities in America, has chosen to turn homelessness and mental illness into crimes, and further turning community attempts at providing aid to the marginalized into crimes. A while ago, I helped a person move their camp from one location to another. They had gotten a 2-hour notice from the city to either relocate or watch everything they owned in this world be carted away to the dump. I felt so foolish and helpless, dragging these possessions down the street, knowing that she could get another notice at any time, and in fact had nowhere to go. Nowhere was safe. And I felt worried for my own safety, wondering if by allying myself with this person, I could open myself up to the city's brutalizations. And I felt no choice but to try. We are doing the absolute most we are capable of. We ask of you the absolute least you can provide, freedom to help in the small ways that we can. Every day, community members and organizations like Food Not Bombs risk harassment and arrest from the city just for attempting to feed the hungry. If you won't help our neighbors, at least step aside and let us try. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Our next speakers are Athena Aguiar, followed by Stefan Streck.
Mayor, councilors, my name is Athena Aguiar, and I'm a resident of Ward 5. I'm going to tell you a story. A couple of months ago, as I was leaving the downtown library, I was approached by a hippie-looking dude holding a clipboard. I asked him if this was about that one vegan initiative to effectively ban animal agriculture. He said no, it's about the fire fee. I told him I'm not interested in signing. I support the fire fee. He said, well, you can support it by voting yes. The petition just makes the fee go to a vote. I said, but if people see a new tax on the ballot, I feel like they're going to vote no, and we'll be back to square one with the budget deficit. And if the Chamber of Commerce spends a bunch of money, people will vote no, to convince people to vote no. Anyways, City Council already decided. But he said, don't you want the voters to have a say at all? I said the voters do have a say when they vote in City Council elections. He asked, don't I want people to have a say in their taxes though? I told him, honestly, I don't want to be on the side of the guy who calls the city councilor, city manager, and mayor incompetent and corrupt and lies about how the new city hall was founded. The signature collector told me he doesn't know anything about that. You've never seen that guy at a city council meeting? I was surprised. No, he said. Oh, did you just go to the meeting where they voted on the actual fee? No, he said. You didn't? I was surprised again. Are you going to the next meeting? You could comment about the fee. He just looked at me. Wait, so you don't go to city council meetings, but you're collecting signatures to put the fire fee to a vote? You realize that the library we're standing in front of right now could have its hours cut if you gather enough signatures? He left me alone at that point. It was a few minutes after the conversation that I processed the interaction enough to realize what had just happened. They were paying people. How is that legal? Every time I find out someone is paying signature petitioners, I think to myself, how is that legal? This time I decided to find out. What I discovered is not a loophole the Chamber of Commerce is taking advantage of, but a literal description in the city's code outlining when and how to notify the city of signature petitioners' payment. Please remove this from the city's code and replace that subsection with one that says that you can't pay for that anymore. If I was mad about a tax you guys passed, I would have to stand on a street corner myself and beg people to sign my petition. It is really upsetting that people who don't know anything about our city's politics are doing the dirty work for property management companies optimizing their profit margin. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Athena. Our next speakers are Stefan Streck, followed by Violet Van Horn.
Thank you, everybody, for coming down this evening. It's greatly appreciated to have what appears to be a full occupancy. I really appreciate this city and the people who come down here and the time we all take to share these issues. Looks like we might have a new city manager already. No? All right. Well, I would like to mention that it would be nice to hire someone externally this time instead of just continuing the trend of kicking the can to the next person within the city's administration who's proven themselves unable to do the job. Our current city manager gave herself a nice new raise just in time to maximize her PERS retirement, and this city is actually going to be paying that bill for decades, presumably. It's really too bad when people abuse the system to maximize their personal profit from government, and I really hope that as many people as possible who are raising issues today weigh in over the next few weeks and put their comment in for the budget deliberations. Many people have made the point that it seems to be a mix of blackmail and extortion to threaten services such as Amazon Pool, Sheldon Community Center, Green Hill. But the city's really shown itself willing to spend money to create more problems. For example, how the public shelters at the park blocks were brutally demolished, and I'm sure those materials were not recycled. That's not very Eugene of you guys. So the meetings take place over about the next month to deliberate on that. And I really hope to see as many people as possible who might have, some pretty solid educational and employment experience on that. I really hope we can actually participate to create the best budget possible and reverse some of these negative trends that are really victimizing the most vulnerable in our community. Thank you kindly.
Thank you, Stefan. Our next speakers are Violet Van Horn, followed by Diane Bolte Silverman.
Good evening. My name is Sasha Violet Van Horn. I'm a resident, a renter in Mr. Keating's ward. I wish to echo what several former prior speakers have said about criminalization of homelessness and the defunding of public services. Public services go much further than paramilitary or, I guess, militarized police actions against people who are in need. If you want to get rid of homelessness within your community, you provide aid, not criminalization. I also wish to speak to the root causes of some of these issues. Eugene has a pretty significant land use problem. I am honestly just a university graduate and somewhat of a nerd who's studied things like urban planning. And parking lots and parking spaces and wide car-dependent roads do not create revenue-positive cities. My apartment building has a vast parking lot right next to it that has over 36 spaces in it, and on a given day in the peak of the workday, at most 5 to 8 of them are full. This could be housing that generates property tax revenue. It could be a business that generates sales revenue. And yet, we still are building places like West 11th and South Willamette Street, south of 19th. And you've got Highway 99, and you've got just these car-dependent, Strode-type designs, which are not efficient for the city to continue to build, and yet we continue to build them. And these have runoff costs in terms of all of us maintaining our own cars, in terms of, housing prices continually going up. A homeowner having their house be their investment vehicle is fundamentally incompatible with making sure that homes are going to people who need them. I will say that again. Your house cannot be an investment vehicle in the same housing market in which people are getting priced out of their homes and houses are continuing to be empty, and yet people don't have homes to be in. Build mixed-use developments where people can walk places. Build denser. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Violet. Our next speakers are Diane Bolte Silverman, followed by Maddie Krotz.
Thank you. My name is Diane Bolte Silverman. I live in Ward 3, and I've been a longtime animal rescue volunteer here in Eugene, starting in 2007 with First Avenue Shelter, now at Green Hill. I'm also on the board of Stop Pet Overpopulation Today, and I'm asking the city to reconsider the elimination of Eugene's Animal Service and also the shelter in contact with Green Hill Humane Society. If Eugene has no animal service program or contract with Green Hill, how does the city plan to handle situations where an animal bites or injures a person or another animal? How about abuse, neglect, and abandonment of animals? How are we going to deal with a situation where with an animal whose owner unexpectedly ends up in a hospital or put in jail? What are we going to do about stray dogs, cats, or other animals dumped by their owners that are safety issues by running on streets, public and private property? Or how about aggressive animals posing safety issues for neighbors, people walking their own dogs, or children playing in parks? Sometimes good Samaritans attempt to rescue an animal, and that's okay now because there are resources for that. But if the resources aren't there, what are they going to do with it, with that animal? Or what happens if they get injured while trying to rescue that animal? Who will deal with housing and returning animals that are lost to their pets? And Also, who will help with animals and their people in natural disasters? Although some people may think that Green Hill and Animal Services are here only for the benefit of animals, it's not true. Ensuring that Eugene is a safe, humane community for all of us, humans and animals alike, is an important responsibility, and both programs need to be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Our next speakers are Maddie Krotz, followed by Phoebe Smith.
Hi, I'm Matty Krotz. I live in Ward 1 near a bike path where people frequently camp. It's not uncommon for me to see people living in tents from my living room window. It's also not uncommon for me to see people get evicted from their camps with little notice. I've seen tents and other necessary belongings get confiscated or destroyed. I've talked a lot with my neighbors who are homeless about how the police took their tent, their only home, and other necessary belongings like phones, IDs, and chargers. These neighbors are already struggling to get by without having their necessary belongings taken from them. I've talked with people about how groups like Food Not Bombs, Neighbors Feeding Neighbors, and Barefoot Defenders have been threatened with ticketing and arrests for handing out supplies, for feeding people, for sharing a meal with them. It seems clear to me that this City Council and Eugene Police Department aren't willing to prioritize meeting the needs of this city's most vulnerable, but are more than willing to criminalize the people in the most need, and to criminalize the people who are stepping up to meet those needs for themselves and for each other. So while people are struggling with skyrocketing inflation, unemployment, and rent hikes, this city government and EPD are punishing anyone who falls behind, anyone who ends up on the streets, and anyone who has enough empathy to try to do something to help. It no longer looks like negligence. It looks like cruelty is the point. So since this city government and police department aren't willing to meaningfully provide, help, or stand in solidarity with all of our neighbors who happen to be homeless, then at the very least, get out of the way. Get out of the way of the people who are. A lot of us are one injury, one paycheck, one gig, or one disability check away from ending up homeless, and we see how our homeless neighbors are treated. Don't handcuff the helpers, and stop criminalizing homelessness, poverty, and mutual aid. I yield my time.
Thank you, Maddie. Our next speakers are Phoebe Smith, followed by Matt Cooper.
Hi, I live in Ward 7. As a community member and social worker with lived experience both providing and receiving services within this broken system, you, our city council, has helped create and uphold. Let me share some examples of real lives that have been brutalized by EPD and your policymaking. The son whose mother can't control his schizophrenia to the point where she begs for commitment, but it becomes clear to her that until she allows him to create enough wreckage and commit a crime, putting his life and the lives of others at serious risk, he will not be seen as a priority. The undocumented 19-year-old covered in cuts from escalating self-harm, but every time he goes into the unit, he gets put on medications he can't hope to afford without insurance. The addict who struggles as a bulimic that can't get into drug treatment because her BMI is too low and can't get into eating disorder treatment due to her drug use. These are the people who stand in line for food. These are the people who are forced to sleep outside with literally no other option but to be there, to exist, and to survive. With society as it is today and as it's going, so many more people are going to experience these kinds of struggles in the coming years. Where will our community be to stand there and support them when it happens? We don't expect much real good to come from city council decisions these days, as you have shown repeatedly that profit and appearing to do good matters much more than actually helping literal lives. And yes, they do matter in this vibrant community in Eugene. What we demand of you now is that you stop handcuffing the helpers and stop criminalizing mutual aid. We will continue to fight for our right to be there and provide for our neighbors.
Imagine if, instead of wasting taxpayer dollars on sweeping homeless camps, since there's nowhere else for these human beings to go, we allowed those with the capacity and motivation to provide any semblance of love, care, food, medical attention, mental health support, and whatever else they can give to do so without fearing their own lives, lives that get harder and more uncertain by the day, lives that might also fall apart from a night in jail or a ticket they can't afford and their job working paycheck to paycheck. If we can't rely on you, and you've demonstrated that we really can't, then step aside. Stop enabling EPD to assert unnecessary dominance, violence, and stroke their ego over mutual aid groups and the vulnerable people of our city. Stop helping.
Thank you, Phoebe. Our next speakers are Matt Cooper, followed by Sarah Boom.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. My name is Matt Cooper. I'm a resident of Ward 1. And I'll start with a quote tonight. The true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members. That's Mahatma Gandhi. So I'm here to speak on behalf of one of the most vulnerable groups in our society. That's a group with literally no voice of its own, and that's animals. Now, granted, I'm an animal lover. I've known the joy and heartbreak of working with stray, neglected, and abused dogs through Green Hill Humane Society, which provides an exceptional and essential service in our community. I've fostered neglected dogs. I've restored them, and I've placed them in homes. I've also adopted, and the relationship I've built with a dog that was once absolutely the most challenged, fearful dog in the shelter is one of the great joys of my life. But you don't have to be an animal lover to know that we simply must not eliminate or reduce these critical animal services. You don't have to be an animal lover to want to help an animal that is neglected. You don't have to be an animal lover to want to help an animal that is abused. You don't have to be an animal lover to want to help an animal that is injured or dangerous. You simply have to have a measure of care and compassion for a group in our society that is wholly and completely dependent on us for their very survival, let alone their well-being. I ask you, do you want to live in a society that turns its back on those with no voice at all? Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Our next speakers are Sarah Boom, followed by Jennifer Van Sickle.
Hi, my name is Sarah Boom, and I'm a resident of Ward 7. I wrote a speech, but I don't feel like reading it. I feel like talking to you, so I just want to say, you say you don't have a whole lot of options when it comes to the budget, and I believe you, but there is a pretty big increase that you're doing, and that is the police. There is a lot of money that's going into that you could put into other stuff. And I think that the reason, I know that you think that the police make it safer in Eugene, but I also think that you're afraid of the police. I think that you are concerned that if you do something to rebuke the police, you will suffer negative consequences. And that's because they're the armed people, they're the bullies, they're the ones that have the weapons. And I think that that's wrong. I think that you have the power of the person, that you should be able to use that power to stand up to the bullies. It threw me off a little bit when we did the Pledge of Allegiance because we're not in school anymore. Other countries don't do the Pledge of Allegiance. I've talked to you before about a country that had a Pledge of Allegiance, and it's a country that no longer exists because we invaded them and destroyed it. Defund the police. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Our next speakers are Jennifer Van Sickle, followed by Jason Bowman.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Van Sickle. I'm a resident in Ward 6. I am speaking today on behalf of Green Hill Humane Society and urging the council not to cut the funding for the animal services, animal welfare. It's a big deal. Without that contract with Green Hill eliminating the welfare officers as well, we're opening up the city to potential for all sorts of disease because we're not going to have the, sorry, I'm a little nervous. It's my first time speaking in front of the city council. We're not going to have the rabies enforcement that is currently provided for. There won't be the protections for abused, neglected, abandoned animals. Last year, I had been walking down the street and there was a very scrawny, very tiny little kitten that was hiding underneath somebody's car, and a couple of teenage boys were harassing it. Nobody would help. I called Green Hill, and they were the only ones that would assist. Without services like that, we lose our humanity. Now, I understand, based on all of the news articles, that this service is $400,000. Why are we spending $4.9 million on phase 1 to destroy the Golden Gardens Park and build 12 new sports fields? Many of the residents in Ward 6 in my area that's a block away from that park have no idea that this was going to be happening until after it had already been decided. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our next speakers are Jason Bowman, followed by Stephanie Ski.
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, City Council, karma collectors. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Constitutional rights swirling down the drain. Write this down, civil case number 24 CV Charlie Victor 01883. Secrets keep communities sick. There is no merit in Merrick. It's past Ben Miller time. It's time for an audit and a judicial review. 24 CV 01883. Ducks in the water, Merkley. Leaders making hard-boiled eggs out of us. How do you rig a housing market? The spending on homeless. Audit. Secret city manager meetings? How much? This created budget issue? Fixed. The housing market? Rigged. Fixed. The juice is running, Eugene. Lane County, Cascadia, this is obscene. Judge J. McAlpine, judicial review. He does not honor the Constitution, specifically the Bill of Rights, even in front of a packed court of law students. There comes a time when a blind man takes your hand and says, "Don't you see?" Community-supported shelters, concentration camp for disabled, Sarah Koski pretending to be unhoused. You're a bum, agent, calling officer, homeless community resource liaison, and homeless poverty task force decommissioning human rights. We see you, we pass. Bad actors in a crappy story. Eugene, Lane County, it appears you're involved in a criminal enterprise hiding egregious civil rights violations. Pizzola told me I was number one. I'm a believer at this point. Pizzola told me his orders came from Skinner. I believe him. Pizzola, I'm not here to call names. The officers that hurt myself and my wife, I'm not here to call them names, but I do want to say, you tarnished the badge. It's time to go home and pack your belongings. If you're in law enforcement, you should at least learn the Bill of Rights. It seems officers spent more time playing with guns in the academy than studying the Constitution. Faith is seeing with your heart, not with your eyes. Even a blind man can tell you when this...
Thank you, Jason. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers are Stephanie Ski, followed by David Eigel.
Hello, I am Stephanie Ski, and I've lived here in Eugene, Oregon, almost all my life. Says a little something, but up in the Friendly Area neighborhood is where I am, and I'm on the board there. But I have high concerns about where our money is. because I remember when the city was clean, when you could drive through the streets and down West Sixth and all over, and we had a lot less problems. And it seems like my biggest question is, where's the money going? How come we pay plenty of taxes and property taxes and little fees and taxes on everything else, and then you drive around and you have, I'm not against the homeless. I've been homeless in my life at a time or two. But I now own a home, but I see how things have gone down, down, down in the city. And right within my neighborhood, there's been 5 dog bites on different friends and people that have been attacked by dogs. So when we say we don't have the money for the police, which they have come to my rescue a couple of times or two, so I appreciate the police. And animal help from Green Hill and other places, very valuable for our community. And I just think we need to check out where the funds are going and be really accountable. When they say we need to audit the city and the budget, it's hard because I've tried to ask, where's the money going? How come we can't supply for the library when we're spending a couple of million cleaning up a park and then not paying for the library? It distresses me. So I could be a little tilt either way, one way or another, but I have a heart for all the people that are in Eugene. I drove up to the university area and I didn't notice any homeless there, and I noticed big plots of land that are empty, and yet then you drive down West Sixth and those little businesses are getting hit like crazy, and it seems a little imbalanced. That's what my question is, and I'd like to see the city cleaned up. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our next speakers are David Eigel, followed by Danny Patch.
Good evening. This is David Eigel once again. In 1937, Professor Frederick Dunn died. He was a beloved figure in this community, one of the finest human beings this community ever produced. Age 19, he graduated, valedictorian of his class at the U of O, went off to establish himself as a Harvard scholar, and renowned for his intellectual work and his kindness and caring for the community. He just happened to be one of the proud members of the most heroic abolitionist families in America. In 1962, his memory was honored by the naming of Dunn Hall. 30 years later, Eckhart Tolle proceeded to misinterpret a letter from Dean Sheldon. Eckhart Tolle didn't know his topic very well. He thought that Dunn had been the head of the local clan. He hadn't been. He hadn't been active with him. What happened was the story you've been told about this violent white supremacist Klan is a bunch of nonsense. It was a bunch of crooked fraternal order salesmen that came to town and lied to people to get their money. Their big issue, ostensibly, was prohibition enforcement. They told people that Professor Dunn was the head of their organization. They lied. It wasn't true. Dean Sheldon, was laughing when he wrote to a mutual friend and said, "Hey, I've heard that Dunn is the president of this thing." And he concluded by saying, as usual in such cases, the wildest rumors are afloat, the whole thing's very silly. So from it's very silly with somebody like Michael Schill here as the U of O president, who wanted to pander to his audience and get recognition from the trustees, we had one of the finest people in this community's reputation smeared. You need to do something about it. It's all documented. There's no issue anymore. I can point chapter and verse and have done it. So let's deal with that. We've also got the problem, Mayor, you yourself have been out giving credence to this North Bank nonsense to build a monument to an event in history that never occurred. Yes, they came here, but no, they weren't kicked out because of their race or discriminated against. Actually, they were held. And of course, we have Jennifer Ye no longer over at the Lane County History Museum because she was booted out because of the Racing to Change exhibit, which was loaded with misinformation. Come on, folks, let's get going. Let's get this matter cleaned up. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Our next speakers are Danny Patch, followed by Misty Bowman.
Hi, Dan Patch. I think we've got it all wrong. You know, there's a lot of people behind me that are begging you to make financial decisions when you're the ones that made the decisions that put us here. It's ironic, isn't it? I mean, we're trying to ask you to help us, and you're the ones that caused the problems. Your decisions, your spending habits put us here. You bought a building for what, $12.5 million? You spent $8 million fixing it, and then you spent somewhere around $50 million changing the corridor between this building and downtown. And this, you outgrew this building before you even moved into it. It doesn't serve the needs, it's too small. Look at this room. I mean, how do you think this is gonna look in 3 or 5 years? You bought a dysfunctional, too small of a piece of real estate, and it doesn't serve our needs. I want to challenge you to change your ways. Start embracing the public. Start letting us know that we matter in your decisions. Your fire fee has an ultimate kicker in the ass behind it. What you don't keep telling people when you're begging them for money at public events, like scoundrels, is that you want to eliminate our right to vote on operating levies. That is hostile. We take that seriously. Why don't you embrace us, invite us to the table? Why don't you let us have a voice? But no, you want to eliminate us because you don't want to be bothered with our opinions. But you go out foolishly and buy garbage like this building. It looks fancy on the outside, but the previous owners couldn't get rid of it for years. And some fools came along and bought it. And that's where our monies went, and that's why we're begging the same people that caused the problem to fix the problem. But you want to punish us in the process, and ultimately, you want to take away our right to vote. I think it's time for you to change out some of your chairs for prison cells. You should be removed. You're not competent to stand where you're sitting, period. A lot of you foolishly talked about irresponsibility and celebrated your power like some foolish little children. It's disgusting. Start inviting us to the process. It's our money.
Thank you, Danny. Our next speakers are Misty Bowman, followed by Jacob True.
Good evening. My name is Misty Bowman. I live in Ward 7, and I'm here to speak about the future of Eugene. I've lived in Eugene for 4 years now, and I'm worried about the future of the city. When the issues at hand are as complicated as they are, we are always on the verge of being mesmerized by uncertainty. Nonetheless, we must speak and we must act. I see the future of the city, and I fear we are doomed to end up like Los Angeles, over-policed, half burned to the ground, and in a mountain of debt. LA faced similar budgetary issues 5 years ago that Eugene is facing now. Like the city of Eugene is about to do, LA went all in on policing their way into a better community. Like some on the Eugene City Council, LA city councilors use bureaucratic avoidance as a means of not addressing community complaints about their police department. Even as this city chants defund the police, fund social programs, city council is ready to do the opposite. Over the past 4 years, I have seen the EPD grow increasingly militarized, police cameras sprouting everywhere, and now drones as well. At the same time this happens, neurodivergent people, disabled people, queer people, immigrants, homeless people, black and brown people in this community grow more and more afraid of the EPD. I know people of color who want to be standing here saying the things I am saying, but are afraid of being targeted by the EPD. I'm afraid of being targeted and harassed by the EPD. But here is what moves me to speak. The fascist Trump administration has openly declared their intent to use local police departments in their attempts to deport people of color to concentration camps. How many millions of dollars will the city give to aid this genocide? How long will we have money for bullets and bombs in this country but not books? How long until we let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream? How long until America is true to what it says on paper? And tell me, how much sorrow must I spend to get a future for tomorrow?
Thank you, Misty. Our next speakers are Jacob True, followed by Patrick Driggett.
Hello there, Mayor, City Council. Pleased to come and talk with you again. My name is Jacob True. I live in Ward 1. Elijah Kaczynski's ward. And I'm here to talk about decriminalize helping homeless folks here in the community. To quote Fred Rogers, yes, Mr. Rogers from the TV show, in times of crisis, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. I think most folks would agree that we have a bit of a housing/homelessness crisis. And while some folks would say that it's the visible poverty, the fact that we can see the folks that are living out on the streets, that is the problem. One of the folks who came up here beforehand was saying that, it's the fact that they're leaving garbage around. I'd say the real crisis is that they don't have a place to live. It's not that they're, folks coming in from outside the community, wrecking our community. No, we've done the studies before. It's, people who have been priced out of the market, who don't have places to live anymore, forced to live on the streets just to survive. I think that's the real crisis. And, there are folks, here in the community who step up and try to help the people who are living on the streets. Folks like over in Neighbors Helping Neighbors, who give out meals to people over in the Washington Jefferson Park. Folks like the, Food Not Bombs, who give out meals to people every Friday over in the park blocks here in Eugene. People like Stop the Sweeps or Barefoot Defenders. All these folks in these different groups have been come up to by the police and either been arrested or threatened with arrest just for helping people get a sandwich, get something to eat. I'd argue that's something the city should be helping out with, but if the city can't muster up the ability to do that, the very least they should do is not criminalize the people who are taking their time to help their neighbors here in the community. I've seen people, over in my neighborhood, over in Jefferson West Side, I've seen cops arrest people just because they were homeless, take their, both of them, there was a man and a woman, they both got arrested, and they had a community service officer come up and toss all their belongings in the back of a truck. I sure hope they got those belongings back, Anyway, my message is decriminalize helping.
Thank you, Jacob. Your time is concluded. Our next speakers are Patrick Driggett, followed by Brittany Quickwarner.
Madam Mayor and City Councilors, my name is Patrick Driggett. I'm a resident of Ward 4. Last month, your citizens arrived in droves to discuss and grieve the loss of Cahoots. During this meeting, several councilors responded with what sounded like they wanted to make sure we knew that they didn't do anything to cause this, that they were shocked and saddened along with us. I hope I'm not misrepresenting that. A few councilors in particular were defensive in their responses, concerned more about feeling blame than looking forward, and helping pursue an answer to this public emergency. That's what we wanted. A few weeks ago, I filed an FOIA response from January 1st, 2025 until the day of that meeting of May 14th. Thank you to Ms. Katie Lasala for her prompt communication. What I saw were some questions from our mayor about the details of the contract in response to the Cahoots Town Hall at UO the week before, an email from the city manager to Whitebird Clinic informing them of potential budget impacts, and an email from Councilor Kaczynski to Whitebird Clinic asking for more information. For those aforementioned aggrieved councilors, you were right, and the record shows it. You didn't do anything, or more accurately, you did nothing. So if you feel like I'm wrong about that, please correct the record, email me. Let me know, show me that there is action taking place, because I don't see it. So the citizens take it upon themselves to go out and help these people, because that's what we should do, and that's what they've been doing, and they're continuing to do. The city responds by threatening those beautiful souls, feeding the less fortunate, and we have the budget to pay the police to do that, but some lady from Bethel says it takes 3 hours to respond to an assault. That is not a good use of money. Let's give that to Cahoots, okay? Ms. Ye, as a resident of Ward 4, I am still waiting on a response from you. I gave you an email, I sent you an email over a month ago about this subject, and if you don't respond, then I'm gonna assume that you're not representing all of us. And I am also autistic and ADHD. Don't make me running against you be my special interest. I don't want that, my partner doesn't want that. If you're not gonna lead, get out of the way. We need your help. I don't see the leading. Talk to us. Tell us the plan, and it can't just be, well, budget, because everyone's saying the same thing. They want money for this and not that. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Our next speakers are Brittany Quickwarner, followed by Mara Watson.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Brittany Quick-Warner, I live in Ward 5. Thank you so much for your tireless work navigating this complex and high-stakes budget process. We know how heavy this moment is and how important it is to get it right. We also know that finding the balance between meeting immediate financial demands and planning for long-term stability is no small task. Your commitment to listening and adapting has not gone unnoticed. We really do appreciate you for that. Over the past several weeks, the Chamber has pored over not only the current proposed and amended budgets, but more than a decade's worth of previous city budgets, watching hours and hours and hours of city budget committee meetings. Thank God my husband reminded me after several meetings you could watch it in 2 times speed. That helped a little bit. We really wanted to try to understand the scope and the structure of the challenge in front of us. We've also been listening very closely, as I know you have, to business owners, to residents, to the public testimony that you guys are hearing tonight and over the last several weeks. And what we've heard is clear. Eugene residents care deeply about the services that make this community feel like home. We believe there is a path to preserving those services, and it's within reach. By looking closely at the numbers and frankly just doing the math, we believe that to preserve many of the most valued services and achieve meaningful long-term savings, we can do both. Specifically, we think it's possible to maintain funding for the downtown library, the Amazon pool, the Sheldon Community Center, the downtown cleanup and beautification program, to allow funding to help explore future alternative response contracts, the animal welfare unit, the animal services sheltering contract, develop park maintenance, the homeless service program, and maintain some of the budget for neighborhood services. With thoughtful prioritization, deeper cuts in many of the other areas that staff have already proposed, many of them, frankly, involving vacant positions or programs that can be restructured, which they've put forward, without gutting the heart of our community and these services they count on. That would leave a much smaller budget gap, one that could be reasonably filled with a temporary 2-year service stabilization fee that's modest in scope, clearly defined, sunset by design, and accountable to the public. This approach doesn't just buy time, it creates space for council and community members to come together to have deeper conversations about the long-term solution.
Thank you, Brittany. Our next speakers are Mara Watson, followed by Renee Watts.
Hi, good evening. Thank y'all for the seats you hold and the things that you do in them. I am here to address the Green Hill on the budget cut, but even more importantly, animal welfare services. That we have officers that respond to things that are not just helping animals, but they're helping people to be safe. And I've lived in several third world countries, and I run a rescue here. I've done that also in Mexico and Costa Rica and Guatemala, and not that Costa Rica is third world, but you don't want what they have. You don't want animals running feral around the streets, biting each other, biting children. We need officers that can respond, and our officers are already busy. They have enough to do, and they're not trained specifically in this. And when they respond to these things, which they have to after hours, because we don't have animal welfare for officers for after hours, people get hurt and animals get hurt, and you can see that from the records of what's happening. It'd be great if we could train everybody. It'd be great if we could have animal services 24/7, but at least we have something. And even in cities near ours, like McMinnville, that don't have animal services, it's a mess. You know, they have these court cases. They don't know what to do with these animals. In the meantime, that you have to put them somewhere. You're not allowed to put them down when they're involved in this. So you'll be paying kennel fees. A lot of kennels won't allow these animals because they don't have their rabies shots. They're not properly vaccinated. It'll cost us a lot more money. So I would just ask that we really think about and find resolution to this and keep our animal welfare officers on, so that our police, we're not having to put more money into the police and get more policemen for things they're not equipped for. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mara. Our next speakers are Renee Watts, followed by Josh Easterland.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Renee Watts, and I'm a resident of Ward 5. I'm a past president of Green Hill Humane Society's Board of Directors. I'm here this evening to express deep concern about the proposed elimination of the city's animal sheltering contract with Green Hill. I recognize the challenge that you face in addressing an $11.5 million shortfall. These are no easy choices. But I ask you to reconsider this particular cut because the consequences would be far-reaching, not only for animals, but for the people who care for them and for the community we all share. Since 2012, Green Hill has been a dedicated partner in the city's animal services program, helping to improve public safety, reduce costs, and provide compassionate care. Last year, Eugene Police brought over 600 animals to Green Hill. More than 900 dogs, cats, and other animals were brought in by Eugene residents who found the animals wandering the streets, lost from their homes. These services exist because of the city's contract, which gives Green Hill the legal authority and support to do this vital work. If the funding is cut, our community will feel the impact in very real and personal ways. There will be no way to respond to animals in crisis, whether they're victims of neglect, abuse, or abandonment. There will be no shelter for injured and stray animals found in Eugene. Residents will lose a trusted place to bring found pets or search for lost ones, often during times of deep emotional stress. The people of Eugene, your constituents, will be left without answers and without support in moments when they need it most. Green Hill's team works around the clock to help people and animals. They respond to emergencies alongside law enforcement, provide veterinary care, and support families trying to reunite with lost pets. They do this with compassion, professionalism, and deep dedication to our city. This level of service simply cannot be replaced, and certainly not without major investment and disruption. Cutting this funding would dismantle the entire animal services system, leaving no clear alternative. For more than a decade, Green Hill has served as a partner in the city's work, doing the hard, often heartbreaking tasks most people never see. I urge you to preserve this partnership and all the stability, safety, and care it provides. This is not just a line item in a budget, it's a lifeline for animals, a vital support for our residents, and a reflection of the values that make Eugene a compassionate and caring community. Thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you, Renee. Our next speakers are Josh Easterland, followed by Lauren Easterland.
Hello again, City Councilors. I'm Josh Easterland, the Ward 8 Director of Equitable Access Eugene. Here again to ask you to consider decriminalizing the ability to grow, gather, and gift psychedelic plants here within the city of Eugene. Last time I talked about Oakland, in June of 2019, they became the first city to decriminalize in the United States. They, plant-based psychedelics including psilocybin, iboga, ayahuasca, and mescaline-containing cacti. Since then, no arrests for these plants were made, besides the raid of a religious establishment which was selling mushrooms and cannabis for spiritual use, which got shut down. But remember that only non-commercial sharing was decriminalized. Besides preventing arrests, it has created more room to talk about decriminalizing drugs, treating drugs as a public health issue, and talking about how these benefits, talking about the benefits that different drugs can hold. Emergency room visits and hospitalizations saw no statistically significant increase from prior to decriminalizing. The organization that successfully lobbied for decriminalization there has helped to share educational resources about psychedelics with veterans, including unhoused folks, and with local organizations working with Black, Brown, and Asian communities. There are reports that attendance in ayahuasca ceremonies have diversified. Surveys have shown growing public support for the decriminalization and therapeutic use of psychedelic plants. According to the RAND report in 2023, over 8 million people have had an experience with psilocybin mushrooms. Over 36% of them either shared them with friends or grew them themselves. Clinical trials have shown promising results for therapeutic use of psychedelics. For instance, in a 2021 meta-analysis found that psilocybin could significantly reduce symptoms of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Research has indicated that psychedelics may improve quality of life for individuals suffering from conditions that are difficult to treat with conventional methods. For example, psilocybin has been shown to help individuals with terminal illness experiencing reduced anxiety and improved emotional well-being. So with over 25 cities and counties having decriminalized, so far over 130 elected officials have voted in favor of decriminalizing. Let's add to those numbers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Josh. Our next speakers are Lauren Easterland, followed by Lawrence Roper.
Good evening, council members. My name is Lauren Easterland, and I'm a mental health therapist here in Eugene. I live in Ward 8. and I am here on behalf of Equitable Access Eugene as well to voice my support for the decriminalization of psychedelic plants and fungi. In my work, I witness some of the most painful experiences that people go through in life. I witness devastating health diagnoses, losses of dear loved ones, poverty, addiction, and multitudes of trauma. Through years of doing this work, there is one essential truth, which is that the way out is through. We cannot suppress our pain and expect it to disappear. When we do that, it only leads to more suffering, such as addiction, generational cycles of abuse and neglect, stress-related illnesses, broken relationships, and unfortunately, I have seen death as well. As a therapist, my job involves helping people to look squarely at their pain so they can go through it. And obviously, that's a very difficult thing to do. Psychedelics are a very powerful support in this process. They quiet our ego mind, which says, don't think that, don't feel that, don't look at that. And they create a space for people to connect with what's actually going on inside. Looking at what pain they are carrying, where they're feeling stuck, what behaviors are they doing that they don't want to do anymore, and what needs to be healed. And once they can see what's been buried, they can bring that into therapy, and then I get to work on that with them. Life is hard, and pain is completely unavoidable. I, unfortunately, as a therapist, can't stop that, but I can help people navigate pain in a way that does not destroy their life or the lives of those around them. And that is why I strongly support increased access to psychedelic medicines, which are non-addictive medicines that have accompanied healing practices for thousands and thousands of years. Thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Thank you, Lauren. Our next speakers are Lawrence Roper, followed by Shaban Cancel.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the city. Folks, I've never spoken to anybody before about this, so I don't know what you all have going on for sure, but I wanted to ask, is there a master plan in the city, for the city, for the future? Can anybody answer that? I guess there's not. To me, there needs to be a master plan for the city so that we can gauge ourselves about where we want to go and how we want to go, because right now, to me, I see a lot of haphazard things happening and things falling apart in ways that I don't like and I don't value. I lived here in the 90s, from 92 to 99, mostly as homeless and poor and very hard-pressed to get things together. I moved back here in 2015 because I wanted to live here when I'm old. I'm old now. I'm happy to live here, but I'm very disappointed because I feel like the city, in many ways, has gone downhill since the 90s. We have more trash all over the place. We have more homeless, and I know I was homeless, but the homeless I see now are desperate and are having really plaguish times and addicted to bad drugs and really creating a bad scene for a lot of us. And we need ways to pull this together and manage it and say, let's have a place for homeless people to be. And let's have people to help these homeless people. And let's have a library forever and ever. And let's have a place for the animals like Green Hill to keep things going, because we need this kind of thing. Let's have a master plan that incorporates this, and let's stop rewarding these people coming in to develop our city and saying, hey, you get a big tax write-off for 10 years. You don't have to pay taxes if you build in our city. I mean, I don't know how many times I'm picking up the paper and reading, so-and-so's going to develop over here, and they get so much tax write-off if they're going to build a stadium or they're going to build houses or whatever. And I'm going, wait a minute. No wonder we don't have money. You guys keep on saying you don't have to give any money. Well, if you don't have to give any money, we're not going to have any money. Come on. Let's have sense here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Our next speakers are Shaban Cancel, followed by Steve Gilbert.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Siobhan Cancel, and I am speaking as Siobhan Cancel, community member, not Siobhan Cancel, budget committee member. As a kid, I spent almost every day at the library. I grew up in a single-parent household, and my mom worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs. I remember her dropping me off at my teacher's house in the morning before school so she could go to work. Shout out to Mrs. A. Then after school, I would go to the library until she got done with work. During those hours at the library, I was allowed to explore and open my mind. For a few hours each day, I could let my guard down and feel safe. I was able to do my homework and access all sorts of information and technology that we did not have at home. The library changed my life, and I would not be the woman I am today without its influence. The library is vital to many others in our community. I've heard multiple times that the library is the only place they feel safe downtown. Safety is about so much more than bodily harm. It is about feeling welcomed, not being judged, having access, being able to connect, and not looking over your shoulder. There are many people in this community that do not feel safe, and the library provides a space for them. The library also supports many households in getting by. Right now, families are working multiple jobs just to make ends meet, and having the ability to access the library helps with childcare, resume building, job searching, advancing education, expanding the imagination, and so much more. The library creates a safe environment for children, allowing the guardian to work so they can keep a roof over their heads and food in the fridge. Not only is the library facing major cuts, the Office of Equity and Engagement is also on the chopping block, losing about half of their staff, including the multicultural liaison position, whose primary job is to connect marginalized communities with supports regarding city services. Recently, they conducted another round of listening sessions with consistently marginalized community members. They took the time to reach out and build rapport with these communities, and they compiled a report of their voices and shared for all to see. Letting this person go will cause irreparable harm to the consistently marginalized communities and only further the disconnect in our community as a whole. We can put no monetary value on the relationships that have been built by this person. As I look at these cuts overhaul, my heart breaks once again because we are further harming the already marginalized community members. We know that the Office of Equity, library pools, community centers, and homeless programs are designed specifically to serve our community members that are consistently overlooked. These services directly increase equitable access for our community members. By making these cuts, it seems very much like the city is going the route of only allowing access to those who can't afford it. It is deeply troubling to see the city acting similarly to the national administration by cutting 1/3 of the budget from equity and education. These cuts are about more than—
Thank you, Siobhan. Your time is concluded. Our next and final speaker is Steve Gilbert. Is there a Steve Gilbert in the room? Steve Gilbert in overflow. Mayor, it looks like that was our final speaker.
Thank you. I will now close the public comment period. Thank you for all who spoke with council tonight. Any comments from the city council? Seeing none. I'm so sorry. Thank you. It's trying. Councilor Ye.
Very hard. Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure where to begin. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I know it's not easy to come and speak to council, and I appreciate everyone who took the time out of their evening to come do this. I wanted to quickly touch on a few points. I do believe that safety comes in a lot of spaces, and I hope that that is something that we discuss a lot at Budget Committee, how police are definitely a piece of the puzzle, but not the only way that our community becomes safe, and that often the long-term ways that make us safe, like literacy and after-school programs, and the list goes on, are just as important. I wanted to, if Patrick is still here, I looked for your email and could not find it, so if you will please stay after the meeting, I would like to get your contact information. I'm not sure if he's still here or not. And lastly, I work for community-supported shelters. I've been in our communities, spoken to our people, and the calling them concentration camps could not be further from the truth. If someone is interested in a tour, it is a very easy thing to do. You can go to the website and you can sign up for one. And learn about how our city, our county, and our nonprofits are all working together to address homelessness in our community. I believe that is all.
Councillor Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. There's a group here who didn't provide any testimony, but they've been taking furious notes, and I can only assume that's a UOJ school. Is that right on? Well, appreciate you attending City Council and taking copious notes, and I look forward to, whether it's in the Daily Emerald or wherever, reading about this experience. Another group I want to thank. I want to call out Bosworth, Bowie, Brown Cow Jr., Caroline, Duke 2, Giblet, Jolly, Kona, Koshibo, Legacy, Mocha, Pancake, Rancher, Rizzo, Roscoe, Scooter, Spinner, Suma, Surprise, and Venom. Those are all puppers up for adoption at Green Hill Humane Society. Renee, Mara, and Jennifer, Matt, Diane, Jules, thank you for bringing to our attention your passion for our four-legged friends who have no voice. They do through you. Thank you. This council has in the past taken action to make the salient point that animal services and our contract with Green Hill in particular is under the public safety umbrella. It is a public safety crisis if Green Hill goes the way of the dodo. So I look forward to collaborating with our colleagues, and I look forward to collaborating with our chamber partners. Brittany, are you still here? The point you made that it's possible to find compromise while maintaining services, while finding new solutions. I don't necessarily agree with just a 2-year stabilization fee. Of course, you've heard me from the dais talk about a longer sunset, but there is a ripe opportunity for an alternative off-ramp that isn't divisive, that finds ways to creatively embrace, save, and maintain the vital services that were so passionately underscored, italicized, and bolded tonight by our community members who took time out of their evening to come and share their passions. Mayor, thank you. I look forward to those conversations internally and externally, and I want to give my great appreciation to everyone, whether you provided testimony or you took notes or you're just gearing up to bark in the park. Thank you for being with us here tonight.
Thank you, Council. Seeing no other comments from Council, I will just offer my appreciation to all of those folks this evening who said this was their first time visiting City Council and giving public comment. Thank you so much for your participation and for spending the time to share your thoughts with us. I also want to echo the appreciations for the advocacy for essential supporting services within our community, and also the advocacy for seeking solutions where we are in agreement and there's collaboration and we're working together to solve some very challenging problems. I will not say too much more about some of the specifics, but I will highlight that we will have a budget committee meeting also coming up this Wednesday, and another conversation at City Council related to this work also on this Wednesday, the 14th of May. So options midday and evening to follow along in this conversation, and another opportunity also on, I believe, the 28th, where we again have those two meetings, both Budget Committee and City Council, happening at the same time. If you are interested to continue with this conversation, please join us. And with that, I will now close our May 12th, 2025 City Council meeting. We are adjourned.